Hi, Albert. Hello, everybody. How are you? Great to see you all here. Thank you for being here. Such a big group. Really appreciate your promptness. A lot of people coming on here, so thanks y'all so much. Really excited for what we've put forth for you today, the prep we've put in. We're going to be talking about Microsoft Copilot stuff. There's been a recent rollout for those of us who are in the government world. And I know that other sectors across our committee some have been using Copilot for a while, some are new to it. So really excited to just have some conversation about how people are rolling out, what they're doing, lessons learned, how they can help us, how we can help you. So really excited to be here with you all. I think we will really briefly pull up our agenda. And Albert, if you need me to do that, I can. I know I do have it up right now.
That would be great.
Awesome. All right.
I love the pin, by the way, Jamie.
Thank you. Thank you. I keep it in this jacket and I'm like, yes, I'm wearing the jacket on the use cases day. All right. Okay. Here we go. All right. Y'all, welcome to the Use Cases Committee. We are so glad to have you here. My name is Jamie Waskalis. I am the board advisor for the Use Cases Committee. I have today with me some amazing people, our co-chairs, Hemant, Carrie, and Nicole. And then, of course, the amazing Albert, who helps connect us with the City of San Jose resources and all of the benefits we get from that. So thank you so much. As always, would love to have you say hi in the chat. Always want to introduce ourselves, talk about the work that we're doing. This is an amazing community of public sector technologists, of vendors from across the country, sometimes even international, which is really great. And so please introduce yourselves in the chat. Welcome back, welcome home. Thank you so much for being here. So today, similar agenda that we've been having this phase, we're first going to just dive into what our next use case demo session is going to look like, so we can entice you to come join us, come learn with us, come share what you know, what you've discovered. And then we will go right into our main event, which is going to be a panel focused on Microsoft 365 Copilot Chat and Copilot. This is going to be a pretty informal panel. So we'll have questions queued up. We'll hear from the panel, but of course we want to hear from you all as well. A few of you reached out to me after the agenda went out saying, hey, we've been using Copilot for a while. We can provide some good information about it. So please feel free to pipe in, ask questions. Just really excited that we have some amazing people here to share, to learn, and to connect. So with that, we will first jump into our use case demos. And let's go to Nicole. Nicole, are you on to talk about our next use cases demo session? And I'm not sure if I saw her come on. Nicole? Okay, she may not be here. I'll take this then. Our next use cases committee demo session will be August 5th. That's the first Tuesday of the month. And this session, please come to join about transforming urban landscapes with cutting edge AI solutions that enhance connectivity, sustainability, and quality of life. Come learn about a knowledge assistant specifically for local government. And then let's have a little chat about AI and local government philosophy. We're going to dive into someone who works in local government and who has worked in local government, and who is going to be talking about taking a living ecosystem perspective. So really interesting stuff happening on our demo session in early August. So please join us then. All right, and then we're going to jump into use case development. Unless, Albert, did you have any other announcements before we jump in? Nothing?
Not a plan.
No. All right. Okay, so what I would like to do, I'm going to stop sharing in just a moment here, but I want to introduce the amazing panel that we have today. So those of us who support the Use Cases Committee and a few additional people. So Hemant Desai is here to talk about Microsoft 365 Copilot Chat and Copilot. We have Boyan Duric, who is from the city of Virginia Beach, who has been doing a lot. Hello, Boyan. I am in Arlington, Virginia today. Hello, neighbor. It is hot and steamy down here. Um, Albert Jahami, of course, is going to weigh in a little bit on what the city of San Jose is doing. We have Ryan Jockers here from the North Dakota University system. They have been using Copilot for a few years, and so he'll have some insight for us from the university perspective. Carrie Johnson, who is one of our co-chairs, also bringing in the tools and the platforms like all of us. And then I'm here as well. All right, I'm going to stop sharing so we can just start talking about our work and what we're doing here. To start with, I really first want to focus on Microsoft 365 Copilot Chat. Just really focusing on guidance, rollout strategies, what's happening in your jurisdiction. And I'll start out to talk about it a little bit and what we're doing in the city of St. Paul. And I think I proposed this topic for our use cases committee, after our session last month. Microsoft 365 Copilot Chat had just been rolled out and it was really unstable. And I was wondering, what are others doing when it comes to Microsoft 365 Copilot Chat? It doesn't seem like that major of a thing, but also for people who haven't used AI, who haven't been introduced to it, what happens when something gets rolled out that doesn't work? So I'll just really quickly say that since then,
they added Uno to casino tables.
So since then, my amazing team at the City of St. Paul has continued to do the great work that they always do, and they've come up with a solid plan that's going to work really well for us. So when Microsoft 365 Copilot Chat was first rolling out, a few of us started playing with it, and we immediately, noticed issues. So, a couple of us started hitting it hard, and we would go, hours in a day when we would put in a prompt and we would get only the prompt back. That was it. Nothing else. We would put in a prompt and we would get code back, right? The code that was telling the AI what to do. And this is when we have a wonderful AI fellow this summer who's with us, and he needed to do the research to make sure, he could talk about what kind of use cases we should be using it for and things like that. It was pretty frustrating. And so my team decided to shut off Copilot Chat because we did not want city users who were new to this, those who had been using ChatGPT to come in and see this offering and have a really bad experience with it. So we turned it off, and then we re-enabled access just for the Office of Technology and Communications. So that's my team. And in 2 weeks, we're holding a kickoff for it. Our amazing AI fellow, Mahmoud, is going to be providing a webinar just on the basics of what Copilot Chat is, using a lot of the Microsoft materials that have been released with this for cities, for jurisdictions. So we are going to kick it off just internally with the technology and communications teams. We're going to be using it for 3 to 4 weeks, just hitting it really hard to really see how could it really help our colleagues in the city. What kind of use cases should we bring forth as we are enrolling it to the city, so they understand how to best use it, how it can be impactful. And so we're going to collect feedback during that time and then roll out likely in September for our citywide audience. So we're really being cautious here. We want a product that is going to work well, and we want to be able to bring them kind of those good compelling use cases. cases. So that's what's happening at the City of St. Paul. I'm really excited that we're, continuing on this pathway and we have a good plan. For others on the panel, do you want to share, do you have anything to share about the Microsoft 365 Copilot Chat rollout in your jurisdiction, in your agency? Any lessons learned, trainings, experiences, anything that you'd like to share that you feel would be helpful for the coalition?
I can kick it off if nobody's like, okay, good. So good afternoon, folks. Boyan Dur, Chief Data Officer, City of Virginia Beach. Hello from the rainy Virginia Beach, not sunny, but humid. Yes, and if I get any kind of interruption, it's my internet, guys. Please bear with me. So lessons learned. Exactly copy paste, Jamie, what's happening to you. So we learned a lot from availability to kind of like troubleshooting individual kind of like assets, even to push it down so people do have the product available. And we had the instances like for some folks, 7 days not being able to access their Copilot, being the part of the pilot program. So how everything started, I will be quick. Just shout out to the whole team over here and Gavi AI Coalition, because that's what we leveraged. I sat on I believe the state of Colorado, presented their Gemini rollout, start picking up the notes, and we said, listen, let's do copy paste, and we did exactly the same. So small group of folks, 50 folks, that they are part of the pilot program. Same, Jamie, like you, September, we're planning to open it up because it's a 90-day pilot program. Invitation only or recommendation only participants. We do have the internal governance board for the AI where we actually discuss who are going to be those participants. So we try to be as diverse as possible, both from the roles and responsibilities up to the comfort level with the AI. So we develop pretty simple process. When we identify the folks, we said, listen, guys, before we issue the license, there are two housekeeping stuff that we need to do, that you are complying with the policy and that you are signing attestation form. So similar what Colorado did, we automated at least that piece. So onboarding was kind of like smooth. Then when they got the licenses, the same issues like you had. Beating up that like to get some response to the point that it's giving some response but incomplete response. Availability in web versus in the desktop apps, and everybody is sitting more in desktop apps. I would say the biggest lesson learned, at least for me, was the time consuming engagement piece. It's not like how much I was working with the AI and Copilot, it's how much time is actually spent to maintain engagement within those folks in the pilot groups, because it's diverse group and you can see someone jumping on it immediately to those that they are kind of skeptic. The other, I would say, side of the coin was expectations. Some people truly expected some silver bullet and something that's going to just like with a simple prompt do everything they need and that's it. From my personal experience and how that actually works, and that's something I would like to learn from the other ones, I would say it is mixed bag on that side. So highs and lows, to the point where you're feeling this is like a complete waste of time and money and everything, to the point that you kind of saying, oh my God, I found a good companion. So when you actually switch and you say in your mindset, I'm actually having the companion rather than someone doing everything for me, it is the different like the story. We start kind of like getting a little bit more through prompts, how we gonna attach, how you gonna access from the app to the chat, which basically is like I would say lessons learned on that side. And from that standpoint, I would say the survey that we did in our onboarding, like to see the comfort level up to the checking up the kind of like pulse today, I would say we, if I may say it, like more courageously are venturing into something that we wouldn't do that without the Copilot. Starting from even improving some of the processes that we have, learning some of the tools that they are available, etc. So it is kind of like from that very much good companion that we got. Some folks I noticed that they were kind of like skeptic. They remain skeptic. So it takes the time. The only lessons learned that I would like to share with the group regarding the trainings and everything else, since we issued the license before the training is completed, because we said you need to have the license to complete the training, and this is the curated list of the Microsoft training paths that we have: data, cyber, and AI as the mandatory ones. What we actually learned that if we engage the folks and ask them to utilize the tool as the co-pilot as soon as possible, to be the companion even while you're doing your mandatory trainings, because those trainings are asking you to complete some of the exercises, to incorporate that as early as possible in your everyday tasks. We learned that, as a matter of fact, we're getting more and more, or more quality wise or better use cases, which are not any longer summarize the email or something like this. So we start getting very specific and organization kind of like specific use cases.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Boyan. And I just want to clarify, you're talking about Microsoft 365 Copilot, right? Like the full, the paid license version, right? So extending that.
Yes.
And your release included some of the things that we're seeing for just the Microsoft 365 Copilot Chat, which has recently been rolled out to GCC users for free. That bumpy road of not performing all the time and getting unexpected results. Okay.
Correct. And by the way, what we learn, even though like we did the whole assessment beforehand, like you remember the time when you had the updates on your applications, like once a year, then you had like semi-annually. You need to be on the current channels and everything else. So they pushing the updates each and every day. So the key is to stay persistent. What didn't work yesterday might work today. What worked yesterday might not work today. So and vice versa. So basically, we need to keep kind of pressing it, being more specific, and just if it didn't work yesterday, don't take that as the no today. So that's one of the key takeaways too.
Thank you, Boyan. It's always fun to, yes, have to support technology that you know isn't working, and not one of the fun parts of the job. Albert, how are things going in the city of San Jose? Are you all focused just on 365 Copilot Chat, or are you doing that and Copilot, the full Copilot?
So there's conversations about the full Copilot, the Copilot in my PowerPoint, Copilot on my work. There's conversations about the full Copilot, but no licenses on that yet. We're still very much in the conversation around building out our data governance. And I really want to highlight that we've been hesitant on opening up the full Copilot suite here for two reasons. One, it costs money. It's like a whole nother Microsoft license. And budgets are tight. But I think also it's been about the ease of access that I will have to the documents that I already have access to, even if I don't know them. That has really given us the demand for, we're working with Microsoft right now, going to work through Microsoft Purview. I highly recommend, if your organization is talking with Microsoft about Copilot, like the full Copilot, make sure you're talking to them about Purview and how you can set up good data controls for that. We're talking with them right now. Yeah, I see, Boyan. Yeah, you're nodding your head. This is kind of where that is. But I'll talk about Copilot Chat, because that's really where we're at in this city. A few things that we're excited about, a few things that have been interesting, to say the least. So Copilot Chat, we learned about it. Let me phrase that. I learned about it being available because someone messaged me from our city saying, "Hey, all of a sudden Outlook has this Copilot button. Can I click on that?" And I'm like, "Thanks, Microsoft, for the update." And so we realize it is, and I'm sure a lot of you have seen this at this point, right? I'll drop these links in the chat. This is the Microsoft Copilot Chat, right? It's this standard web looking interface. In my opinion, it looks a lot like what you see with Claude or Gemini or ChatGPT or you name it, right? That's the thing, right? And what we found first and foremost is we said, okay, how does this apply to what we already know? And what we already know in San Jose is we already have generative AI guidelines that we put together for the city around, general rules for using generative AI. And that can be ChatGPT, it can be Copilot, it can be Claude, it can be whatever. At the end of the day, you're treating it. It is not your end all be all. It is not a true source of information. It is an overactive intern that is really good at Googling things. And you should treat it as such. Can it get you useful information? Yes. Would you take whatever it says and present it immediately to the San Jose City Council? Absolutely not. And it's about approaching it with that interpretation. So that was step one. It was like, okay, it's very similar to that process. And we also had a bulk of resources that we've been building. We've been fortunate enough to build across that. So I'll just drop one more link in the chat. This is the playlist of the upskilling program that we built with SJSU. When staff are knowledgeable about how to use these tools, and we've seen this not just in San Jose, but in many other places, staff are saving like 15% of their day. If their desk job is this stuff, I'm not even talking about Copilot Premium or anything like that. Just like, your Chat GPT, this Copilot Chat, 15% of your day, because it can help you write documents, it can help you analyze data, it can do all these great useful tools for you. And then that brought me to Copilot and the unique value that Copilot Chat presents to San Jose, and I think it might present to a lot of organizations right now, which is the enterprise data protection. Right now in the city of San Jose, we use ChatGPT. That's our main enterprise shop that we have. But what's the problem with ChatGPT is it's not like CJIS certified, nor is it HIPAA certified. Copilot Chat is providing that protection within our enterprise system. That's huge. That means that I can go talk to my police department and I say, hey, we can start thinking about how to use this. We can start playing around with it, because it provides the same protection guarantees as we have for our SharePoint, for our other Microsoft suite. The downside is that it's worse than ChatGPT. Just like from a functional standpoint, Copilot right now, Copilot Chat is on 04 or 4.0, or it's basically a year behind, which it could be fine for most applications, but just something to note. So the way that we've approached it right now, and we're still in the process of rolling this out, is we're promoting it. We're saying it's a useful tool, especially as we're thinking about sensitive information. It's probably not going to be as good as what you're seeing with with ChatGPT right now, but still it might be good enough for your purposes, and it provides that security.
Awesome. That's great, Albert. Thank you so much. And I know I've shared the trainings that you all worked on with San Jose State, with my team, with our AI fellow as well. And that's been really helpful for us. Boyan, yeah, do you have something to add?
No, just quick question for Albert. Basically, the DLP data loss protection probably is turned on, and I would like to know like how with the results and from the chat. Like I challenge everybody now, like try your chat now with the Microsoft chat, whatever they call it now. Ask who is the current president and today's date, and you will see what responses you're getting. So people kind of like don't realize that this is actually sitting and using LLMs from some whatever push they had. It's not like going out and pulling from the internet as they would do with the chat GPT or something else. That's just a remark. So I would like to learn, Albert, how you kind of like at least manage those expectations with the false results back.
So I can say in terms of right, we're working with a dated model, and that can be okay, right? But it's something to keep in mind, and that's where I think a certain amount of that training comes into play. And again, you're checking the sources right. This is as much a people problem of figuring out how to use this new tool as it is a technology problem of making sure that we use it right.
Agree. Thank you, sir.
Let's chat just a little bit more about Microsoft 365 Copilot Chat. I just want to see, Carrie, do you have anything to add? Because you originally, surfaced some of the training materials that we're now, my team found as well. So I know you found those and we're sharing those out. Anything to add about what y'all are doing in Scottsdale?
We sort of have hey, Microsoft does not do things well in the GCC realm culture that everyone knows that if something gets updated, no, whether it's this Copilot chat or it's Teams or it's Word or it's Outlook, it might be clunky at first. So we've kind of embodied that and expect that, but please come ask us questions, right? We're here to answer, we're here to help. We were thinking Copilot Chat was going to be released long before it was, because the original date was somewhere, I believe, March of 2025, or maybe even, no, it was December of 2024. So we had already been preparing, had made a short little training class that we did require everyone to take. It was only 6 minutes long, but the goal of it was to say, this is Copilot Chat. This is what it gives you. It's more just like a little Microsoft oriented environment. Chat GPT, here's Copilot. And this is where you could say, create a Word document from scratch and put X, Y, and Z in it, or a PowerPoint or what have you. And here's what's, what are agents and who is allowed to make those and why. And we really started that out with our, AI Governance Council, so that they could ask questions and give us what they saw as people from the departments, what the business line, what did they see might be the problems? And what they saw was really what we described. Hey, sometimes it'll be wrong, or sometimes when Microsoft rolls something out in the GCC tenant, 5 people in your organization will get it day 1, and 5 more will get it day 7, and 10 will get it on day 10, and everybody else will get it on day 12 all of a sudden, like a miracle. So we were very aware of that, and very aware that people could be confused, or executives could be confused, and we really take our executive line as the what's the word I'm looking for? Sponsors and goodwill users and ambassadors of AI. So when we finally did get to roll it out, our CIO put an executive backed, really sort of long welcome in our, what we call our City Line weekly newsletter, explaining what it was, where they could get help, what we expected to use, how we expected to use it, what we thought could be helpful. It's been out there for a few weeks in the wild now, and I get very little feedback that's negative. There was one entire day, Jamie, where we got what you were talking about. Oh, I asked it something and it just gave me a bunch of gobbledygook of code, right? And the whole time we were waiting for it to be released, some of us had licenses and were testing the licensed version just to understand the veracity of answers that it might give us. We also have a few development accounts that are at, they're regular users. So we tested with those as well. And we tried to understand what it was doing well and not so well before we rolled it out. But people are using it. People are happy. There are a lot of Copilot tutorials, and I will try to, when we send out the email at the end, I think I shared a ton of things with you, Jamie. I'll find all of those links, but they have so many places. I found another one the other day that I will share right now because I happen to have it up. And it's a cool little, so many week journey of, you send assignments. It's almost like a gamified learning system. You send assignments out to, and you don't have to force people to do it, right? You can have people just, if you want to participate. Today, we're going to learn about how to communicate. To the next week, we're going to do things that are like, how do I organize myself? The next week is a bunch of learn how to prompts on getting insights for things, all Yes, the scenario library, that is what I sent to Jamie because there's a whole government spot in the scenario library. It is fabulous. We have so many learning paths for this. People are probably starting to get confused because Microsoft has this thing called learning pathways that also has Microsoft Chat learning that is self-paced that they can do for themselves. And we put that on our AI resource center as well. But the next thing we are going to do is this productivity with Copilot Chat, which is a curated, here's what you do this week. We're going to give you this prompt, you play with it. And as you go through them, I think it's about 6 weeks long, you go through them and at the end you earn a badge. Who does not love to earn a badge to put on their LinkedIn? Everyone loves to do that. So that's what we are going to do next. And when we're done with that, I'm going to put out a survey and find out from people, what are you thinking of chat so far? I have a lot of people that are really happy with it and just are very, thank you for getting this going. Thank you for answering my questions. And then we have people that are like, oh, can you remove this from my toolbar? Because I don't believe in using AI because it's not green. I literally got that question. I was like, no, the city can't stop using AI because of the green concerns. Sorry to say. But I ditto everyone's experience. I just think we were so invested in not having it being a mess last December that we were like 80 steps ahead because we kept waiting. Oh, it's going to come out. And then they would say, no, we moved it to April. No, we moved it to May. Oh, no, we moved it to July, So we had so many opportunities to do that. And like I said, I think the staff here is really Microsoft savvy and invested, and they know it's not going to be perfect. And we do. We have a channel that we put out communications on called Technology Partners. And we will tell people, hey, this is misbehaving today. So if anybody's asking you, we see it. We've checked with Microsoft. Here's what they say is going on. We'll tell you when we hear different. So we have that channel of communication with everything that we do technology oriented, so we can just let people know, yep, we see it, we're there,
Yeah.
we got you.
That's great. Thank you so much, Carrie. And yeah, thank you for those of you, for Carrie and others who are putting resources into the chat. When we send out our recap, we will also put out all the resources that we've been talking about because there are a lot out there. I want to get to Hemant and Ryan because they are Copilot users as well. So moving beyond 365 Copilot Chat, but into the licensed version. Hemant, do you want to talk a little bit about how it's going at ICMA? Like, do you have anything you want to share about your rollout, about training, or maybe just about use cases, about how it changes the nature of your work? What do you want to share for those of us who aren't quite in this space of using Copilot yet?
Yeah, thank you, Jamie. And certainly I empathize with the GCC version of the issues because I've been in that life, my previous job. But I can say that in the commercial aspect, which is where we were or we are, we didn't thankfully face many of the issues you guys face in the GCC tenant for Copilot Chat. So we began, just to back up, we kind of did what Boyan and I think what Albert shared in their environment. We began literally from the beginning with a survey to our staff. So this was back in March of last year when we knew that we were investing in Copilot full license and the board was going to approve the purchase of licensing. We began preparing for that by taking staff survey. So it helped me with that survey to formulate a training strategy, if you will, of where to focus on use cases. So we narrowed the survey down to 4 or 5 use cases, which we thought would be most pertinent for us to begin training. So we created a comprehensive lunch and learn training plan. So from April of last year through almost, I would say, September, October, Jamie, of last year, we conducted lunch and learns almost twice a month, every month, and sometimes even on demand. If somebody, a department say, hey, we missed it, I know we can review a recording, but can you spend some time showing us how it works? So we took time to do hands-on training, lunch and learn trainings, long story short, that helped us in two things. One is it helped us make sure it's used the right way, the tool is used in the right manner. So before that, we also had, just like what Albert did in San Jose, we had published the responsible use guideline to the entire staff, had the CEO sign off on that. Now, we didn't go the extent what Boyan did, which I wish we did that, is have staff sign off on that they will use it with that guideline. But short of getting staff to sign off on responsible use, we shared the document, is now on a SharePoint library. So we preempted in every training with reference to the guidelines to make sure people understand the guardrails, prompting best practices. So we gave some prompt engineering quick 101s on that. So that all, Jamie, went very, very successful. Then switching to the Copilot, the full Copilot, we performed a pilot group test with 3 departments, HR, finance, and research, because they were the first 3 who reached out to us saying, hey, we want to use Copilot in PowerPoint, in Outlook, and in Teams, and of course in SharePoint. Can you show us how? So we began exploring, piloting. In that, we did come across some of the challenges that you guys came in GCC, where there were some anomalies, especially when you tap into SharePoint. This is where I will come back to what Albert said. Get your data right before you start putting Copilot on SharePoint. But our SharePoint farm is like wild, wild west, just to be honest with you. So imagine putting partially cooked LLM on a wild, wild west data set, right? So we quickly retracted that and began cleaning up some of our SharePoint data. Fast forward now, back in March of this year, we finally had our data cleaned up. And now I can say to you that we actually have not only a almost cleaned up SharePoint farm, but our use case in those 3 departments has been very, very productive. And I really, with Albert's stat, that I would say at least 30–40% improvement from staff feedback to us in their productivity for using an Outlook for searching emails, Teams chats. And now in the last, I would say, month or so, and I shared that with you, Jamie, we are now exploring the use of AI Copilot agents. So that's the final step in the full use of Copilot suite, is creating dedicated Copilot agents for departments for knowledge management within their department. So more to come. We're still in the early stages. I'm still learning about that. It's very encouraging so far that the feedback has been very positive, but it's too early to say whether it's scalable across larger departments, if you will. So I'll certainly keep you guys posted, but I would say that continue exploring in your environments, because ultimately, if you can use the agentic Copilot within departments, I think that's where you'll get the biggest bang for the $30 a month, is in that arena of agentic use of Copilot. So I'll just stop there to kind of freeze any questions, but this is where we are right now in the overall schematic of Copilot.
That's really great, Hemant. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I want to hear from Ryan too. Thank you all so much. I didn't expect this conversation would continue this long, but there's so much to learn and so much to know. Ryan, let's first start with you, because Hemant stopped in talking about the agentic AI and how he really sees some really good value in the cost of the licensing. You all have been using Copilot, I think, for a couple of years. Can you start first and just talk about, are you using agents, or have you gotten to that level where you're using agents in ways that are really, helpful in collaboration and knowledge sharing and knowledge mining, things like that?
Yeah, thanks, Jamie. So I think the biggest thing is that agents are actually quite new in the way how they've been
Oh,
rolled
are
out.
they?
So
Okay,
they're not
okay,
very old. But everything
okay.
that came before it, we've been using. And so I think that the premium license, honestly, in my perspective, in the very beginning, really didn't have much value to it. I mean, it was very expensive, and it's still expensive, like Albert talked about. Even in for education, it is. So, but as time has gone on, I feel like it's been integrated in more and more applications and grown in capability, and agents are one of those. Agents has been now rolled out. They have two ones that just came out of their frontier preview, which is researcher and analyst. So those are two baked in agents that now anybody can use with that license, that Microsoft has made available. And they have these like also basic level ones that you can start with, like templates you can start with. So we're just diving into that agent part. We're starting to figure out what are good use cases for those, and what makes sense, right? We're not going to just build agents for agent's sake. One, they have to be governed properly, like Albert mentioned, and two, they need to actually fit a business purpose, and actually solve a problem. So we're slowly, I think, on that part, figuring it out. As with integration with the entire 365 platform, it's everywhere. It is pretty much everywhere at this point. And it works actually quite well. I think I would say 80% of where it's at, I think I've used it and it has been productive for me. There's still some parts I just haven't dealt with or done, and I don't really feel like it's that good at. So I just do it myself, or do it a different way. Um, but I would say that all of that is has to be grounded in your EDP, Enterprise Data Protection. I think that, like Albert talked about, is the most important for us. We do have the FERPA concerns, we do have HIPAA concerns, being state government and higher education at the same time. So we've had to answer some really tough questions and dig in. Hey, what components are compliant? What components aren't compliant? What pieces do we need to make sure we let our people know? Because a lot of them work in sensitive areas, and they can't just be throwing anything in there. So we've had to assure them and answer really good questions about, okay, this is our official tool. This is the NDUS approved license for LLMs, for AI, for this type of work. If you go outside of that, we can't do anything about it. We can't protect you. There's no, if you're within it, then it's a lot easier for us to be under our agreement, legality, liability, risk, all of that. So yeah, you do give up some functionality. I'll definitely agree with that one. But we can assure our people like, hey, we're covered, and you can use it for your more sensitive data and not worry about being leaked. At least on our end, we're not leaking anything. So I think overall, the biggest thing is people change. And so we've had to do consistent trainings. We do discovery hours. We do a monthly Copilot update, just a general low tech. Anybody can join. Hey, here's what's kind of new in Copilot. Here's what's going on. Here's a feature you could use. Here's a use case you could try out. And it gets good questions, really good questions. So.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ryan. And a follow-up question I have is just like have you found any in NDUS and then in any of the other organizations, like a surprise value or like, a department or a user or a class of users who are like now using this for something in such a unique or helpful or supportive way? Do you have any stories like that? And if you don't, Ryan, well, we can go to Boyan because he just raised his hand.
Yeah, no, I'll just quick. I think I've been shocked that there's been more people embracing it for things like knowledge retrieval, meeting prep, communications, all that integration with Teams and Teams Premium, than I didn't expect. They really weren't those type of users, but they're just embracing it and making it a part of their workflow. And so, that's kind of been I think a huge win. Getting those champions and those people out there using it, and they just kind of speak for you, right? You don't really do much. Like, hey, I'm doing it for XYZ. So I think the basics, it's actually been quite good for us, and seeing people that aren't typically AI or tech savvy take advantage of that has been kind of cool. So
wonderful. Boyan, do you want to add? Oh, I think we lost your sound. Oh, it's not working. So sorry. All right, no, it's not working. Sorry, Boyan. Dang it. You're in the middle of a rollout and learning so much. I know that. So I'm so sorry that we can't hear you. Hemant, Albert, did you want to add?
I can share. It's funny you asked that question, Jamie. Just last week, two of our staff members who typically would not email me on AI use cases, but they did, and both of them. So one of them was where he said he was so excited. He said, "Hammond, here's an example of a use case I never thought I could do." So he had a JPEG image of some very old ICMM material that he scanned. And then he basically asked Microsoft Copilot Chat to convert the JPEG to text. And it did 100%, I mean 100% conversion. So that's one use case that I didn't actually personally think was available in the version of Copilot. I know ChatGPT and Claude did a better job of that, but I think Microsoft has certainly caught up with accuracy of JPEG image to text conversion. I think so. That's a good thing I saw as an improvement over the last 6 months. The other use case that I use and many others have shared with me is if you have the full version from Outlook, you can actually basically use the feature within Outlook to schedule with Copilot, and it creates the agenda for you automatically with an email content from anyone that you're trying to set a meeting with. So it saves you a few minutes of your time. So those are two quick feedbacks I received last week of some exciting enhancement that didn't exist before or that were a little bit inaccurate in its implementation. Microsoft has come a long way in being more accurate in its Copilot use of those two use cases.
Wonderful. Thank you, Hemant. And Boyan, I think we can hear you now. Oh no, now it stopped again. I did hear you clear your throat. And now it is not working. Oh, so sorry. Albert, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
Happy to, but Ryan looked like he was about to jump in something in response to Hemant.
I was just going to say real quick, I know that no one that I know likes doing documentation. So we found that using Copilot in many different ways, documentation has been really, really helpful with Copilot helping you assist with that. Even using the premium license, using Researcher Agent, we tested out one technical documentation. It wrote a 34-page document, and it was very, very good. It took about 15 minutes, but it wrote a very, very good, long 34-page document. And I was like, wow, I guess we're not going to have to do much writing pretty soon because it's doing it pretty well. And also reviewing it too. So reviewing, let's say you have documentation. Hey, Copilot, can you review that? Tell me any holes and things I'm missing from a perspective. So I know that everyone has to do documentation for pretty much anything. And so I found that it's been a lot easier to do that and accelerated. So just want to throw that in there.
Can you hear me now, guys?
Loud and clear.
Okay. Just a quick, the lesson kind of like where I would say the biggest benefit came in, what I noticed among the pilot users with the whole full blown, like that we have the licenses and everything else, the comfort level with the AI for those who are actually starting adopting it. Because we start noticing them leveraging the other AI tools in more, I would say, appropriate ways, hygienic way, secure way. You remember the time when we had that like whole classes, the safe web search and how to recognize. It's almost like adapting the chat and tools in that safe manner and shifting from Copilot, Gemini, Anthropic, and people are kind of like adopting more and more. One of the good use case scenarios that I would like to share, and someone asked in the chat, it actually helped me, as I said, venture into something I would never venture myself, building utilizing the other Office 365 tools such as Power Automate, Power Apps, and all of that to help you build those, to be your co-pilot, so you can kind of like build even complicated process flows to automate and troubleshoot while you're deploying it. So I would say it's a way bigger use than what we expected, and we told that's going to be Outlook and Word document, which is apparently it's not that big use cases as we thought it's going to be.
That is so wonderful, Boyan, and I love that I just love that it's giving people confidence. I had a conversation this morning with people from the state talking about, how can you help just communities and constituents and residents, and because there is so much, there's nervousness, there's anxiety, sometimes AI frightens people, but if we can just, as leaders across the country, introduce these tools to our teams, who they can then talk to them about their families, and we can talk about responsible use and making sure that humans are staying at the center and understanding how to check and verify, but use them to help us, use them as that assistant that can help sit next to us, but not replace everything that we're doing at this time. So I really appreciate that. Yeah, go ahead, Albert. Did you have something to add?
Oh, I was just gonna say some last thoughts on my end. If I could give you one thing on this, and I think you've been hearing this across the group, is regardless of whether it's Copilot or Claude or GPT or whatever you want to call it, fundamentally, this is about making sure that your staff are prepared. It's an educational problem. I 100% like today we're talking about Copilot, but the same, I see people talking in the chat about, oh, can I get a prompt library? Can I get this? It's about building that muscle in your organization, and finding the educational resources that allow you to do that. I shared what we have in the chat, but I'm sure other folks, I know Carrie's gonna share some stuff after the email, right? Like building that muscle in your organization is the most important thing, because the interfaces are pretty similar across the board in the ecosystem right now. It's just a matter of, does the tool meet your security requirements, which, if you're on an enterprise license with Microsoft, Copilot might foot the bill for you. Others might also foot the bill for you. But can you meet those security requirements? And then do they know actually how to turn a tool into a product that then actually makes use? So always put that people first, especially as we're looking at what frankly is a very people-focused technology.
Wonderful. Thank you. Go ahead, Carrie.
Albert, I think I'm right on board with you with that. And it's, for me, everything, not just the Copilot chat. It's all about helping staff use these tools, because this is, to me, just exactly like when the internet came to us as a work tool in the mid-90s. And it changed the world. Everything, this is gonna be a times 10 of that, or more. So I think we owe it to our staff to help them be retooled to understand that AI is a part of their daily workflow of their job, no matter which one they use, just like you say, because they don't all do the same things. They're not all good at the same thing. Perplexity is really good at research. ChatGPT, not as much. And if you're doing deep dive research, Microsoft Copilot is really good with your ecosystem of what is on your desktop, what's in your file folders. How do I interact with Microsoft? And we keep a list of that on our internal AI resource center site, and we say, okay, you're allowed to use this one, and here's what I would use it for. And I even put in there what it does poorly. It's really, this is not just, everything we've talked about with Copilot Chat applies to everything else that exists as personal productivity AI tools. I think Albert has hit that right on the head, and we owe it to our staff to help them understand that it's not to replace them. and how to use it well so their careers continue to thrive.
Great. Thank you, Carrie. So well said. We're at 5 to the hour, and I know that a lot of people are on these kind of calls all day long. So I want to welcome or thank you so much, the panelists. Thank you so much for your insight, for your sharing. I had thought we would get to many more audience questions, but thank you to Albert and those of you who have been monitoring the chat and helping out. So next steps, we'll follow up with a recap of this session. We'll send some more information on just some of the resources that we've been using, and look forward to hearing more from you. I would love to collect some use cases, specific use cases around both Microsoft 365 Copilot Chat that many of us are now in the midst of, and plus as those of you who are maturing on Copilot, just share the lessons learned, the stories that you have to help us get excited, to help us really see the value of empowering humans as we're on this journey together. All right. Thank you all so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
folks.
Jamie, for hosting.